Who are the men in black? Are they extraterrestrial? Are they government agents? Or is there something entirely different at play? In this video, we delve into these questions to uncover the truth. We've all caught wind of them, and yeah, Hollywood had its run with Will Smith. But hold on tight, because this isn't about flashy agents and special effects. It's about the authentic men in black. That's right, the real deal. Gray Barker, an esteemed American writer celebrated for his explorations of UFOs and paranormal phenomena. In his groundbreaking 1956 book, They Knew Too Much About Flying Saucers, Barker played a pivotal role in introducing the men in black concept to the realm of ufology. Now let's dive into one of the intriguing cases from this book involving Albert K. Bender. In 1952, Albert founded the International Flying Saucer Bureau, marking the birth of the first major civilian UFO club worldwide. However, despite its initial success, Bender abruptly shut it down in 1953, leaving us wondering, why? Albert's life took a drastic turn when he announced plans to publish a book detailing his research in 1953. Shortly after this announcement, he began receiving visits from the men in black. These enigmatic figures, described as tall, dark-haired men in black suits, speaking in monotone voices, had an otherworldly aura. These mysterious individuals possessed an unsettling knowledge of Bender's personal life and the intricacies of his research, suggesting they were more than mere government agents. Over the following weeks, Bender endured strange and disturbing experiences, peculiar phone calls, surreal visions, and an ever-present feeling of being watched. The MIB interrogated Albert, coercing him to halt his research and destroy all notes and materials. Threats of physical harm and hints at their ability to make him vanish left Bender terrified, intensifying his paranoia. He even claimed the MIB could read his thoughts. Albert withdrew from the public eye, avoiding UFO conventions and meetings. After a prolonged period of silence, he published the book Flying Saucers and the Three Men, 10 years later, where Albert portrayed the MIB as part of a larger conspiracy to conceal evidence of extraterrestrial life. He believed the government was aware of UFO existence and actively suppressing information to control the population. Now, if that's the case, which agency would come into play here? Most would point to the CIA or the FBI. Both are certainly plausible, but there's an organization that few consider: the Air Force Office of Special Investigations, or OSI. They conduct independent criminal investigations, counterintelligence, and protective service operations globally, operating outside the traditional military chain of command. Proactively, OSI identifies, investigates, and neutralizes serious threats to the personnel and resources of the Air Force, Space Force, and the U.S. Department of Defense, all in the name of safeguarding national security. OSI is right at the center of UFO encounters, famously highlighted in the accounts of former AFOSI agent Rick Doty. You might have heard of him if you've seen the documentary film Mirage Men. Doty and OSI are said to have intentionally spread a heap of misinformation about UFOs in the 1980s, all in an effort to protect classified UFO technology. But Doty's stories are just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the connections between OSI and UFOs. A CIA study from 1997 spilled the beans, revealing that in the 1950s and 1960s, both the CIA and OSI were actively promoting UFOs to keep the then classified U-2 and SR-71 Blackbird reconnaissance planes under wraps. Whether OSI continues to be involved in contemporary UFO incidents remains unknown, although the Pentagon's recent statement implies that OSI hasn't completely abandoned the topic. Let me share with you a chilling encounter involving Peter Reutzwitz, a professor of humanities and folklore at the Juilliard School in New York. In 1980, he found himself in a library on the University of Pennsylvania campus, perusing a UFO book recommended by a colleague who thought Reutzwitz, being a folklorist, would find it intriguing. As Reutzwitz immersed himself in the book, he suddenly noticed a wrinkled black pant leg and a scuffed black shoe in his peripheral vision. Looking up, he saw a tall figure, well over 6 feet, and weighing no more than 140 pounds. The man, dressed in a disheveled black suit that appeared slept in, had a bright white shirt almost matching his deathly pallor, Without invitation, the man casually sat next to Roycevitz and inquired about his activities. Roycevitz explained he was exploring a book on UFOs. The man asked if Roycevitz had ever seen a UFO, and upon receiving a negative response, questioned his belief in their existence. Roycevitz, lacking strong opinions on the matter, mentioned his waning interest after studying the book. Suddenly, the man erupted, exclaiming, "Flying saucers are the most important fact of the century, and you are not interested." Abruptly, he stood up, regained composure, placed his hand on Roycevitz's shoulder, uttered, "Go well on your purpose," and left. This is an intriguing case, as Roycevitz is encouraged to continue his research. In September of 1976, Dr. Herbert Hopkins, a 58-year-old doctor and hypnotist, found himself entangled in a bizarre encounter while working as a consultant on an alleged UFO teleportation case in Maine, USA. One evening, alone in his house after his wife and children had left, the telephone rang. A man identifying himself as the vice president of the New Jersey UFO Research Organization asked if he could visit Dr. Hopkins that evening to discuss certain details of the case. Dr. Hopkins, without much hesitation, agreed, considering it the natural thing to do. While as he went to the back door to switch on the light for his visitor, he noticed a man already climbing the porch steps. There was no car in sight, and the speed at which the man had arrived left Dr. Hopkins in delayed astonishment. The man, dressed in a black suit with a black hat, tie, and shoes, and a white shirt, looked, as Dr. Hopkins described, like an undertaker. His impeccable attire contrasted with his completely hairless appearance. No eyebrows, no eyelashes. His skin was deathly white, and his lips were unnaturally bright red. During their conversation, the man inadvertently smeared his lips with his gray suede gloves, leaving lipstick stains on them. It was only later that Dr. Hopkins reflected on the peculiarity of his visitor's appearance and behavior. The oddity peaked when the visitor claimed Dr. Hopkins had 2 coins in his pocket, a fact that turned out to be true. He then instructed the doctor to put one of the coins in his hand and watch it, not himself. As Hopkins observed, the coin started to go out of focus and gradually vanished. The visitor declared, "Neither you nor anyone else on this planet will ever see that coin again." After discussing general UFO topics, Dr. Hopkins noticed the visitor's speech slowing down. The man, now unsteady on his feet, bid farewell, citing a depletion of energy, and descended the outside steps uncertainly, one at a time. Shaken by the encounter, he willingly followed the visitor's instruction to erase the tapes of the hypnotic sessions related to the ongoing case, and to discontinue any involvement in the investigation. The phenomenon of men in black seems to elude a straightforward explanation tied solely to government operatives. Another perspective on the appearance of men in black suggests viewing them as part of the broader UFO phenomenon, and not just that, but as interconnected with various unexplained phenomena. John Keel, an American journalist and influential ufologist best known for his book The Mothman Prophecies, proposed a theory that Mothman, ghosts, MIB, UFOs, and more are all facets of the same overarching phenomenon. According to Keel, this phenomenon is an unknown natural event with electromagnetic properties, triggering intense hallucinations in those caught in its grip. Keel keenly observed that encounters with alien visitors, men in black, and abduction events rarely dished out any fresh intel to those experiencing them. Predictions were off the mark, mere guesses, and revelations were already known to those involved, hinting that the experiences drew deeply from their subconscious. In the midst of a localized series of paranormal events, the first encounter set the tone, shaping subsequent ones and determining major details. However, things took a twist when new victims had to invent information they weren't initially aware of, like eye color, movement, sound, and more. Men in black follow a similar script. They often adopt the appearance of someone slightly foreign, playing on our inherent xenophobia, starting off as Asian-looking, echoing fears from World War II, and morphing into a more Russian appearance as societal fears evolved. They show up, throwing nonsensical questions about ball games and the weather, before dropping veiled threats tied to a sighting or experience. Then, poof, they disappear in an older model, dark car. Decked out in outdated or mismatched attire, Often rocking hats, their appearance is a collage of victims' subconscious notions about secret government figures, flavored by memories of old films, commercials, and pop culture references. We can thus discern that there are broadly two types of encounters with the men in black. The first type suggests an interest from government entities in collecting information from witnesses and enforcing their silence through threats. These encounters typically occur shortly after an incident and not immediately, as is the case with the second type of encounter. The second type of encounter with the men in black seems to manifest promptly after a UFO sighting. Many documented cases support this distinction. What we can assert is that it appears to be a blend of both types of encounters. Once again, the UFO phenomenon seems to underscore its connection with our consciousness. A form of sighting that comes very close to this is the encounter with the so-called Hat Man. This figure is seen by people all over the world, spanning various cultures and different epochs. The phenomenon of the Hat Man will be the subject of the next video. Have you had experiences with the Men in Black or similar entities? Let me know in the comments.